Sake is an alcoholic beverage brewed from rice and water. While grape wine tends to have an alcohol content between 13 and 17%, sake typically has a slightly higher alcohol content, up to 20%. Alcohol content depends on the dilution with water prior to bottling. In terms of chemical composition, sake extract has significant amounts of amino acid and nitrogenous compounds that contribute to its unique umami flavor. Tartaric and malic organic acids account for the fruity and crisp taste in grape wine, while the carbohydrates account for the perceived sweetness.
Rice and brewing technologies are thought to have originated in China, as rice has been cultivated there for more than 7,000 years. However, the refined flavor of sake goes back more than 2,000 years in Japanese history, where the actual beverage is thought to have originated. Legend has it that sake's origin occurred when some natural airborne mold landed in an open container of rice and produced a slightly fermented liquid that gave some lucky farmers a pleasant buzz. Aspergillus oryzae, also known as soybean koji, is essential to many traditional fermented foods in East Asia. It prefers oxygen-rich environments between 30 and 40 degrees Celsius with enough moisture for its spores to flourish. It is an ideal fermenter because of its ability to secrete enzymes that transform proteins and starches into amino acids and sugars. Some Aspergillus species are considered to be pathogenic, however Aspergillus oryzae is not. The Aspergillus genus is characterized by the production of a mycotoxin called kojic acid, but luckily for us, the employed strains of Aspergillus oryzae have been domesticated and do not produce the toxin.
The process of brewing sake begins by removing the husk and the bran from the rice, leaving it a polished white grain. The rice is then washed and soaked in water for as little as 1 minute or as long as 8 hours, depending on the type of sake. The more time spent soaking results in a more flavorful and thus more expensive product. The rice is then placed in a steaming vat called a koshiki. Unlike the preparation of table rice, where water is mixed in with the rice and brought to a boil, steam in sake production is brought up through the bottom of the vat and works its way through the rice.
Now we get to the fun stuff. Koji mold, also known as sagiku, is made when rice is cultivated with Aspergillus oryzae. The mold is sprinkled in the form of a dark, fine powder on the steamed rice that has been cooled. This is where the saccharification begins, converting starch into sugar.
After 36 to 45 hours, the brew is sugary enough for Saccharomyces cerevisiae yeast cells to be added and begin converting that sugar into ethanol via anaerobic fermentation. There are 3 main strains used. A mixture of rice, koji, and water with a high concentration of yeast cells is now created, called the shubo. The shubo, moved into a larger tank, has more rice, koji, and water added in 3 successive stages over 4 days, doubling the size of each batch each time. This is called the mash, or the moromi. When everything is considered just right by the toji, or head brewers, the sake is pressed, getting rid of the unfermented solids and running off the clear sake that is desired. This used to be done by putting the moromi into canvas bags and squeezing the fresh sake out, but now a machine does it. After a few days of sitting, the sake is charcoal filtered to adjust flavor and color. The sake is then passed through a pipe immersed in hot water, killing off bacteria and deactivating enzymes that would likely adverse flavor and color later on. It is now left to age for 6 months.
Before shipping, sake is blended with pure distilled filtered water to decrease the overall alcohol content. Older sake, termed koshu, is aged for a longer period and must be stored in sub-zero refrigerated temperatures in order to slow down enzymatic browning. This variety is much heavier in terms of flavor and is considered an acquired taste for many sake consumers. Most sake is pasteurized to slow down microbial spoilage and enzymatic reactions. Exposure to light may also degrade the amino acids in sake, causing an unpleasant smell. Thus, you will notice most sake is sold in dark containers. High temperatures may also lead to an unfavorable smell through the acceleration of oxidation. Thus, sake is often stored and served at cool temperatures.
There are 6 accepted categories of sake. Aroma profiles include fruity, spicy, grassy, caramel-like, and acidic. These profiles may change at the discretion of sake brewers who can manipulate rice varieties and water quality used in the fermentation process, the ratio of rice to water used, and the fermentation and storage conditions. We suggest that you try each type yourself. Our diverse foodie community here in the NC Triangle offers several restaurants that serve sake. So next time you find yourself drinking a takuri of sake, make sure to thank the microorganisms and rice that made it all possible.
Created using Powtoon.